Tuesday out there. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Tools, Tips, and Techniques, and it is Tuesday. So we've got all the T's going on, and I'm not even exaggerating. We're going to do some totally terrific textures today. And if you guys start leaving comments that start with the letter T, I'm going to crack up when I read the comments later. So just do it and give me a giggle. But let's take a look at what products we're using today. It's going to be so fun, and it only uses 3 simple products. One of them is liquid color, one of my favorite mediums. It's so fun. It's very special to Fun Stamper's Journey. We have it in at least 20 different colors, and I know you're going to have a blast if you have not tried it yet. So we're going to use liquid color. We're going to use some of our stencils. I'll show you what we've got here in just a minute, and water. And that is it. So simple. 3 simple products. We're going to just mix and match them together and watch the magic happen. So let's go ahead and grab, what do I want to do first? I'm going to do our wallpaper stencil first. So this is our wallpaper stencil, and it's pretty fun and unique because it has 4 different patterns on it. This is an 8.5 by 11 inch stencil. So each of the individual patterns is perfect for a card front. So can't beat that, right? So I'm going to be using this fun little leaf pattern on the wallpaper stencil. I'm going to go ahead and grab my liquid color. Now I do want to show you real quick how I have my daubers. These are my daubers that I use for my liquid color. This happens to be, it's kind of worn now, but this happens to be an old container for our rainbow drops. Well, I used up most of the drops, and so I transferred the few I had left to a new container. But look how perfect they fit all my little dauber tops. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one that's got the limeade splash. You do want to keep these daubers separate from your daubers that you use with our regular inks, because our liquid colors are water-based and our other inks are not water-based. So that's why I keep these separate, and that's just a handy little storage unit. If you guys have any ideas on how you store your daubers, let me know. So I've already got the dauber on the blending dowel there. So I'm going to be pretty generous with this liquid color, and I might have to add more. But what we're going to do is just basically cover this entire panel of whipped cream cardstock with our liquid color. So you want to just pick it up and just go to town in there and start adding color to your cardstock. Cover it wall to wall. You don't even have to worry so much about blending it perfectly, but because you are adding quite a bit of color to this panel, it's all going to kind of blend in together. So see, I'm just coming back, making sure I got all my edges. And the liquid color is already slightly reacting with my cardstock. So what it's doing is it's going onto the fibers of the cardstock, and it's slightly lifting them up. So even if I just stopped right here, add a little bit more color here. I'm going to set this aside. You would see, and you probably can't tell so much in the video, but you could see if you were in real life that this already has really a smooth, almost velvety texture. It just has an absolutely really, really pretty finish on it. So if you wanted to, you could just leave this panel just like this, let it dry. It dries slightly lighter than it shows right here, and it would be a beautiful card base. But we're going to step it up a notch and do something really fun. Ooh, see, I got liquid color all over. Let me blend that in. That is the thing. You do get liquid color on your fingers, and it's all good. It's all part of the inky fun. So I'm going to lay the stencil on top. And I'm going to get a little bit of help with some washi tape that I have. And you can use, washi tape or masking tape or whatever you have handy. I do want to make sure that this stencil lays fairly flat on my cardstock. Does that make sense? And you don't have to worry about drying this at all before you go to do this technique. In fact, when I was trying it earlier and experimenting with it, it worked out really well if I went just straight to the cardstock from my, wet liquid color. So this is just slightly damp under there, but not so much that it'll come off on your fingers or anything. But here's where the magic happens. Because our liquid color is water-based, it's going to react with the water. So I think this is going to be really fun. This is just one of our medium misters filled with plain water. Now I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to be fairly generous spritzing it. See if we can catch the little water dropping here on the video. So you can see I did a fair number of squirts on there. Now I'm going to let it set for just a second. I do have a little bit of water puddling on top of the stencil. It's totally fine. If you have a few drops that leak underneath, that's fine too. Again, it's an imperfect technique, but I think you're really going to love how it turns out. Let me kind of peel this away so I can do a fun reveal. This is the fun part about video. You get to have that little moment where you're like, ah. So peel that away. So I'm going to lift it this way. Let's see what we come up with. Ready? And what? Oh my gosh. Is that just not fun? That looks like you did some really elaborate technique with, I don't know what, embossing powders or something, but all it was a stencil and water. No additional ink needed. Is that just fun? Now, of course, this is still wet because those, you know, all the water is kind of soaking into there. So you're going to want to let that dry pretty good. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to do one more because I just can't stand it. You got to have that aha moment. I'm going to move this grid paper just so we don't mix up our green with my new color. This time I think I want to play with Turbo Teal because, you know, remember we're talking about all those T's, right? Roy, is anybody leaving me T comments? Come on.
They're just starting to come in with comments.
They're just starting to comment, okay. If anybody's got some terrifically amazing T words, put them on there. Okay, so I am doing Turbo Teal liquid color. I guess I kind of flashed the jar rather quickly, but this is our Turbo Teal, really cool.
They're excited to try this.
Ah, they're going to try this technique, yay! It's almost could have been a Try-Day Friday video, right? Except I have tried this before. I did a video on liquid color, gosh, already a couple of years ago, where I did kind of a similar technique, but not exactly like this. So I'm glad you want to try it. Okay, so you can see my Turbo Teal on here. Really a nice heavy coat. It's somewhat blended, but it's not perfectly blended, which is just fine. This time I'm going to grab our Starburst. So this is one of our smaller stencils. It's 6 by 6, so it's still plenty big enough, you know, to go over your card base. Go ahead and grab a little bit of tape again. So again, this is Starburst Lines, and it's got a really fine pattern, so I think it's going to show up the texture really well. The totally terrific texture. All right, so again, just kind of tape it down, come back with your spritzer. And I'm just spritzing straight down. I don't want to really go at an angle because, you know, I don't want so much water going underneath the stencil, but I think on this one it's pretty cool. Let's see the down shot again, Roy, because I think you can even tell already that that ink is sort of lightening in there. Is that kind of crazy or what? But I think you'll get the big reveal when I do this. Ready for it? Dun, 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 dun. Voila! Oh my gosh, that's so fun. I just love it. Okay, let me show you the last one that I did, and I won't go through the whole thing, but this is another fun stencil that we have that's called Flower Power. And again, it's kind of a little bit hard to see on the video, but we've got this lovely rose, this really big dahlia, this fun little just smaller patterned flower, and then this really big gorgeous flower. So I did this technique earlier with Watermelon Fusion. But how about if we just flip to the finished cards so you guys can take a look at what I did. Oh, actually, I'm going to tease you one more minute because I'm going to show you how I did my sentiments. There's no stamping on any of these cards, so it's kind of fun and different. I used dies for the sentiment on it. So far, it kind of looks like a stamped project, but it's not. So let's show you which die I used. I used this Designer Frames die set, which is really cool because it's a super flexible die. It's got all these words which are kind of hard to read because they're backwards because of the, you know, obviously the die. But it does have this really cool frame, and I'll show you a little bit how it works. I only use the words for this particular project, but I'll just give you a really quick rundown on how it works otherwise. What I did is I went ahead and die cut this. I used the word thanks for this card all 3 times, and you can see that I've just now popping out this thank you. And you might notice that it's connected to the edge, and we did that purposely when we designed this die. So if you want to, you could take this thanks right here, and I'll say it was on obviously a bigger panel of paper. But then you could come in with the frame and go ahead and cut your frame or your inside frame also at the same time, you know, one or the other. And then you'd have this really cool frame where the actual word was floating inside the cardstock frame. Sounds a little bit odd, but if you look on the website at this die set, you'll see examples on there too. But this time for this card, I'm going to go ahead and trim apart these things because I just want the words. And why did I cut it 3 times, you might ask? Because I'm going to do this tricky little stacking die technique. Because these backgrounds are so bold and amazing, I really wanted the die to be kind of beefy, I guess is the right word, kind of have a little more body, a little more thickness. Poke out these little extras. So I won't walk you through the entire thing, but what I basically did is I took some of our craft glue, which is perfect for our paper on paper effects. So I'm just putting a little bit, kind of a little dab on each letter. Then I'm just going to layer these die cuts together. So I'll poke out layer number 2. You could use your bloom tool with this, of course, but these are pretty big. I can just poke them out with scissors. Okay, and then I just line them up here. And even 2 layers is actually quite nice. It just gives, like I said, it gives your die cut a little more body. It lets you have a little bit more flexibility when you're placing it on your card because it's got that extra thickness. Because the glue is wet, you have a minute to kind of work with it and stack them up together. So white on white doesn't show up too good, but you can kind of see that. So I would go ahead and stack the 3rd one up, and then I have a really nice sentiment. So let's go back to our leafy one and let's do the reveal on that one first. The die set also has 3 different words, so I used all 3 words on my cards. So I grabbed envelopes too, just for fun. So here's my first one. And you can see that to finish it, really, it doesn't take much. I put a little slightly darker matte on it. So I did use the Limeade Splash, which, you know, shows a little darker now that we've got the liquid color dry. See, it's just slightly lighter than the original one. Not much. And then I mounted it on a white card base, and I added that triple decker sentiment on there. So you can see it's got that really nice texture to it. Oh, I hold it still so I can focus. Oh, there we go. So see how nice it is with the different layers on there. Super fun. And then I just added a couple little sequins. I thought that was awesome. So there it is with a little envelope, card number 1. And here's my Starburst lines. Grab the envelope for this little guy too. Isn't that fun? This time I added a cool pool cardstock, so I went with a little bit lighter blue cardstock. Isn't the die awesome how it just kind of pops against that background? Super simple, but absolutely love it. And here's the one that I didn't create on air, but I know you guys want to see the Flower Power one. Check it out. Is that just not gorgeous? This one in particular, I think, really has that velvety look. I think you can even see it up here, and you can definitely see it where the water has kind of reacted with that liquid color. And if you could touch it, if I had touch and feel on my video, you would really see. Oh, that's a good angle, yeah. So you'd really see how it's got that velvety look. Absolutely love it. I was super excited to share this technique with you. I think it's something easy, fun. If you've got any of the liquid colors in your arsenal right now, super quick to try. Just grab a stencil, any stencil, lay it on there, and just grab your mister, and you will have just a blast creating this technique. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Tools, Tips, and Techniques. It was really quite technique heavy today, and that's fun. Every week we just come to you and offer a variety of things, whether it's tools we concentrate on, or techniques, or just sharing some card tips. We always enjoy doing that. So tune in or check out our YouTube channel. We have all of our previous techniques videos on there, so you could just have a blast and binge watch and really hopefully learn some new things to bring to your card making techniques. So while you're there, consider subscribing and also like and share our videos. We always appreciate that so much. So thank you so much, and have a great time bringing paper to life.